Today, on our main discussion, we bring you a conversation with the ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee of Parliament. He's also the MP, the representative for the good people of Oppong Irebi, Honorable Kojo Oppong. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Abuna. Thanks for having me.
Yesterday, you were very vocal on the floor of Parliament. I think for the latter part of the day, it was your video that was making the waves.
Oh, okay.
You were talking a lot to the majority in a very distinct manner, because normally would say because you are in opposition, you should be opposing everything the majority is doing. But your submission was more of an advice to the majority about what to do and how to get it better, even referencing your government that has just left power. The question many are asking is, why are you advising the majority if your actions caused Ghanaians to boot you out of government?
Thanks, and let me say good morning to yourself and to your viewers. I think that we in the front line of politics have a responsibility, not just to campaign and win power and do a we versus them, but we have a responsibility to this country to ensure that the lessons that we have learned over the period, we can bring it to bear on successive governments so that they don't have to repeat the same mistakes that we made. If you will recall, and if your viewers will recall, during the mid-year review of the budget, when we saw before the budget, when we saw the strategy that the government wanted to use, we advised that we have tried some of these methods before. They achieve temporary results, but in the end, when you are hit by some challenges, everything crumbles. So try not to go that way. They went that way. Then mid-year, we started pointing out to them the symptoms that were showing up. For example, on revenue, on expenditure, even on the macro indicators like the exchange rates, interest rates, inflation, etc. We started pointing out to them. But when a government wins power and there's a lot of euphoria and goodwill, sometimes you don't listen. So they've kept on the path. And so yesterday, what I was doing was showing them that you see the things that we started hinting you about, they are beginning to show up. And it appears that you want to deepen the problem in the next budget. You only have 4 budgets. This is the second one. You want to deepen the problem in the next budget. If you don't turn and re-steer the course, it may look like some temporary success has been achieved. And that's why I was referencing things in our time. But when something hits you, you'll be in trouble. So you have time. You have 2 more budgets to go. 3 more years to go. Quickly turn course so that we don't end up going around in circles, else we won't move forward as a country.
Okay. Well, in turning course, you argue, and it's been very popular amongst the minority or the NPP, that government is underspending.
Yes.
It's one thing that you've been trumpeting for a very long time, and that the underspending is affecting very critical areas. Really, what critical areas is government's under expenditure causing us to falter in?
So, for example, when we say it is important for government to spend what it has programmed to spend, it is because government is the single largest stimulus in the economy. If government executes its programs and spends what it has programmed to spend to back those programs, it stimulates economic activity. When government doesn't do that, everything grinds to a halt. Yesterday, around 11 p.m., I saw a video of teachers who went, or teacher trainees who had graduated and who went on a demonstration. They had a loudspeaker with them. And they were playing back the commitments that the government had made. They played back the voice of the education minister, who had announced that they were going to recruit 50,000 teachers in 2025.
Well, but now the education minister says in 2026 they will recruit about 61,000.
No, I think it says 6,100. So I'll come to that. Okay. They were playing back his voice in which he had said that they were going to recruit 50,000 teachers in 2025. Then they played back His Excellency the President's voice in which he even said that they were going to do automatic recruitment. To be able to achieve that, your revenue must perform so that you can give them financial clearance and recruit them and pay them. If you play politics with the revenue measures, you will not be able to raise that money and therefore you will disappoint the 50,000 teachers in 2025. Then in 2026, the extra 10,000 teachers you need to recruit, you can't even recruit them because the revenue is not performing. So look at it, 50,000 plus 10,000, 60,000. Now the Minister for Education says that he has been given 6,100 to recruit. That is about 53,000 potential teachers who are disappointed and are sitting at home. It is just one example of a critical sector. Take the nurses. You remember the nurses who went to the health ministry and had a banter with the health minister and called him a TikTok content creator or something? It is because they were promised that either they were going to get their allowances or they were going to be recruited. And because the government has played politics with the revenue strategy, they don't have the money to spend. I could give you several examples in capital expenditure, which affects roads and all of these constructions. You need the money to be able to do it. If you play politics with the revenue effort and you don't get the revenue, you now start disappointing all these critical sectors. It breaks my heart to say this. Mid-year, we were having a conversation about this same problem, and I was talking about the fact that because they are not doing that, they can't spend on security. And at the time, you recall that something had happened in the north, and the intelligence agencies had not been able to pick it up. And somebody went to, I think, Nalerugu Senior High School and either murdered a student or something. There was something like that.
It was a part of the conflict situation.
And I was making the point that if you don't raise the revenues, even your intelligence assets, because government has a whole national security architecture where you have intelligence assets in various places to give you intel, and sometimes you're able to thwart that intel. If you are not even paying your informants, you won't know. And crime and other things will be escalating. So it's not just about saying that, oh, I love you, NPP hated you, so I've removed this tax. The consequence is that the money that you need to do the things that you've promised the people, you won't get it. So it's in that context.
But some people believe that this is just you pushing the government to spend and then shoot themselves in the foot or sabotage them, because obviously a minority or opposition, as very literal as it means, is to just oppose whatever government is doing. And so we really are finding it difficult to see it coming from a good place.
It's okay if people don't see it coming from a good place. There's a lot of mistrust these days in politicians, in institutions, etc. So I don't even worry about that. The people on whose behalf we are raising these points, the 50,000 or so young people who have been promised that they'll be recruited, they can sense that this is coming from a good place. The nurses who are not recruited, they know that this is coming from a good place. The contractors who have to be paid so that they will return onto the roads and do the jobs, they know that this is coming from a good place. We are not doing this politics for the plaudits of men. We are doing it because we believe that there is a genuine need to be of service to build a better nation for ourselves. I mean, look at it. You wake up in the morning, you want to go to work, and even if you get into public transport, you are stuck in traffic for God knows how many hours. We will all prefer an efficient, speedy public transport system like we see in other countries. It takes leadership to deliver it. So those of us who come to leadership must come with a certain desire to be of service and to help improve the status quo. And that's the basis on which we say this.
Would you have rather expected that government, even though they had made so many promises in the manifesto on the campaign trail, in coming to government should have said, say, COVID-19, say, e-levy, we appreciate the concerns that are available when it comes to it's so much of a burden on us. We also appreciate that we said that we're going to remove them, but when we came, we realized that it is an imperative that we keep these ones. Is that what you would have expected?
I would have preferred government not to even get there. And the way not to get there is by being truthful right from the beginning. Half the time, politicians know the truth, but for political convenience, they tell the public something else. So, for example, we had a year 2020 in which, because of the pandemic of the previous year, we had to shut down Ghana's economic golden triangle, Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, for about 2 months. Because productive activity was not going on, no government revenue was coming. But government at the same time had to make a lot of expenses. We had to pay teachers, we had to pay service workers, we had to spend a lot of money in trying to contain a situation that we didn't even understand so well. By the time we finished, we were in debt. And government said, we need to mobilize resources to pay back that debt. So we introduced a COVID levy. The NDC knew that that COVID levy that had been introduced was not because there was COVID still with us. It was to pay the debt that had been incurred when we were spending and not getting money. But they came around telling Ghanaians that COVID and so still move to your COVID levy. It's a bad idea. The government is wicked. So when we come to power, we will remove the COVID levy, vote against this government. They knew that they needed that money, even if they were the government, to pay back what had been
so then my question
inherited.
To you as...
If I just may land on that one. They knew that that money was required to pay back the loans that had been taken to provide water and to provide all sorts of other things for us. But they chose to do a lot of propaganda with it. So when they came to power in 2025 January, they knew that if they took away COVID levy, they can't pay back those loans. So they kept it for 1 year. And now that the window has come down, then they say, as part of VAT reforms, we are now removing it. They knew that some of the levies that had been introduced because we needed to close a revenue gap so that we would try and deliver on some of the promises. But they chose to tell the people something else. Now they win power, they are compelled to remove some of them, they remove, and now they're having gaps in their revenue basket and are not able to deliver. So I would prefer that they don't even get there. Tell the people the truth. You know, the last time they came to Parliament, I think with a $360 million loan. And when they came to Parliament, because they've done a lot of politics with the fact that we shouldn't borrow, they were now shy to say that this was a loan. So now they came and they say this is a financing agreement. So my point is that don't even get there. Let's be candid with the people. The people may not like what you are telling them in the beginning, but let them know the truth.
Okay.
So that you don't have to now get to a point where you now have to obfuscate and run around rings. That's my point.
This takes me back to when the NPP was in government. One thing Ghanaians complained about was that the government was not listening. Today you explained the COVID levy in the sense of which government needed to collect the levy. But at the time, many Ghanaians agitated. Many thought that this was just a levy that you wanted to collect because your government loved taxing the people and the people were fatigued. Again, it was COVID time. So many people had lost their jobs. Others were now really wanting to get on their feet. What stopped the NPP government, of which you were a part of, from explaining some of these issues candidly, as you put it, to the people for us to better appreciate it? Because now we juxtapose the previous government or the second coming of the NPP to the second coming of the NDC or John Dramani Mahama, and the Ghanaian says that this government seems to listen to us the more. They are more on the ground with us. We can better feel them, and I'll quote the Bible, like the Bible says, we do not have an intercessor who does not feel what we feel. So it looks like you were hanging in the air. The average Ghanaian was just at the bottom. What stopped you?
You know, first of all, it is a matter of fact that we did a lot of explanation. But when it gets to a time where people are in a lot of difficulty, you know the expression that we have, interior kanum. So that was the truth. But let me take you to 2017. Ghanaians were also of the view that, this MPP government is listening to us and the previous NDC government was not listening. The reason is that getting to the end of the last NDC administration, when Ghanaians were in a lot of hardship, doom saw and all of those things, all the explanations that the NDC government would give, people were just not listening. In the beginning, from 2017 to 2020, literally, people were listening very much to us because the conditions around us were comfortable. We had removed about 14 taxes. This single-digit inflation they were talking about, we had done it in 2018. We brought it down to 7.8. 2019, we brought it down to 7.1. It was a single digit. The currency, it didn't appreciate, but it stabilized. This is when we even said that, we've put the dollar in handcuffs and we've given the key to the IGP. You see, at a time when things were comfortable, when transport fares were being reduced. Yesterday I heard Felix Kwachi for say transport fares were reduced by 15%. I said, go and check 2022 or so. Transport fares were being reduced at a point. Even electricity bills were reduced. People were happy. At that time, people will listen to you. When the hardships start and people are of the view that you are not responding to the hardships enough, they don't listen to you. But the reason for which the hardship comes is that, and again, this was part of my submissions yesterday, when we achieve the slightest of success, we're over the moon. We think all the problems have gone away.
But maybe it's because we come from a place where difficulty is synonymous to our living as a people.
I can understand that. But that is why, therefore, we are drawing the attention of our colleagues who today are on the government benches. That the dancing you are doing in the chamber, we've seen it so many times before. But when we don't deal with the structural issues, all you need is one major shock, then we are back to square one. It was our unfortunate, may I say, scenario. Nobody, when we were going into power, had the mindset that in our second term, inflation will go up to 54%. But because the structural issues had not been dealt with, one small shock and then we were all now in trouble. And so we draw the attention of our colleagues that stop the dancing and pay attention to the substantive issues. If you don't and you get excited that inflation has come to single digit, interest rates have come down, the currency has appreciated. And that's why I was giving them the dates from 2001 when Osafo Mafo was finance minister. Today I hear people say Ato is forcing. They called Osafo Mafo Oyadi Osafo Mafo. They called Kwabena Dufo unprecedented when he did the 3 years. He even did 3 years of single digit inflation. We did 2 years. He did 3 years of single digit inflation. So my point is that it's not out of malice. We have an opportunity to pay attention, deal with the fundamental issues and turn this economy around so that we don't keep running in circles.
So left to you, COVID-19 levy would still remain?
No. In fact, if you look at our manifesto, we said that by this time, it would have fulfilled its purpose and that it should go. If you look at our manifesto, it was quite clear. But like I said, at the time, people were in hardship and people of the view that, Master, you introduce it. If you can remove it now. No. And no explanation that you were giving that it has to go over a certain period. It's only, let's say, by the end of 2025 that you can remove it, was going down well with people. So, no, that's not one of the measures that we think. We removed taxes also when we came to power. But you see, the argument is that when you remove taxes, you must be able to find other ways of ensuring that you don't have a hole in your national treasury. What this government has done is that they've removed those taxes, nothing wrong with that, but they have not provided ways by which that hole can be dealt with. And that is why they are hemorrhaging on many of the promises that they've made.
Government is looking at some revenue measures, VAT reforms and all. One of the things I looked particularly at in the budget was the fact that they were going to raise the threshold for small businesses from 250,000 to like 750,000. Is that good enough, especially for the few or the many young people who, because there are no jobs, keep looking at venturing into entrepreneurship? And we've been told this over and over again. You go for any conference on business, on building yourself, and they're telling us that jobs are out there, create the jobs. And so with this threshold that has been broadened by this much, is it good enough?
So the government has now come to Parliament with what they call the VAT Amendment Bill itself. That bill has something in it called the fiscal impact. It is that one that will show what the numbers are.
Okay.
We haven't seen the numbers that they are playing with. They have only told us that when they reduce the effective rate from 29.9 to 20 and they lift the threshold, they will get more money. We have argued that, first of all, when you did it in 2025, that you will get more money. Remember, they said that when they remove the taxes, they will rather move us from 13.9 to 18. And that hasn't happened. In fact, on the whole revenue picture, we're doing 16% of GDP. As at now, we're doing 11%. And they are saying that from now to December, they can do 5% more plus. And that's why but that's why Amin Anta was doing the calculation and telling them that this your forecasting is just wishful thinking. So sometimes when you come with the theory that if I lower it, more people will pay, it doesn't work out as we've seen in 2025. That is the same argument they are making for VAT. It's not about is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? For us, it's about what is the fiscal impact.
Okay.
And if the fiscal impact takes us down, then the effort is not worth it. You would have said, oh, I'm doing the people some good, but in the end, it will do all of us a bit more of harm. You see, if you look at the OECD countries, on the average, they are doing 20% of GDP back to the treasury. Simply put, what it means is that when we all engage in economic activity, and we make money, the total productivity of the country, 20% of it is what goes back to the treasury. And that is what is then used to service the needs of the people. In Ghana, we are doing 16%, and we have to be going up. Even the 16%, the tax measures that we have, people are complaining. So you ask yourself, is it true that when you remove them, the people will pay some more? That is the context. But if actually it can happen, who doesn't like it?
But you are an advocate for paying taxes.
I am.
You are a very strong advocate for paying taxes. And so in this case, how do you rally the Ghanaian behind paying taxes? When you talk about taxes, Ghanaians give you these three things as the foundations for which they are not. They tell you, our roads are bad. Fair
question.
Street lights are not working. Just before we started our conversation, we went to the Akuman. The roads are bad. Street lights are not working. Traffic lights not working. Even just on this road where ABC News GH is, for the past year and a half, street lights are not working. The traffic lights are even gone. There are no hanging faulty traffic lights for us to even say they
so
used
people
to
say,
be.
I don't see the value of
we
the
don't
taxes
see the value,
paying, so I shouldn't pay some
why
more.
should I be paying some more?
Yeah.
Because my money is just too small.
Yeah.
I'm collecting 1,000 cedis at the end of the day.
So it's always a chicken and egg situation. And I think that what the political leaders in this country have to do is to demonstrate some more to the people the use to which the little taxes that is paid is put, so that people now get a sense that, okay, so what I'm paying, this is what it's being used for. I concede that many of our people are of the view that the taxes we pay don't show up among us, and that it is all, let's say, chopped by politicians and other people. And it doesn't help when you watch the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament meeting and you hear all of these financial infractions. It really defeats the public morale when it comes to that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to demonstrate to the people that the taxes that we are paying are being put to good use. But let me also say that revenue is not all about taxes. I'm a strong advocate for revenue, because without the revenue, you can't deliver. But revenue is not all about taxes. If you look at the revenue schedule, we have tax revenue and we have non-tax revenue. This country has so much resources, which, if well harnessed, can help us to raise a lot of revenue, which doesn't actually require people to take taxes. So, for example, we have what we call carried interest in a lot of our mining and other natural resource endowments. We have participating interest. We have royalties. How seriously are we focusing on ensuring that all of those are mobilized so that they come to help the tax effort and the people can see the value and the benefits? I don't think we've done well there enough. But this is a continuous exercise that we have to be on and demonstrate some more to the people.
Okay. Now you bring in royalties, you bring in mining and all. I want us to look a little bit at NIMOS. NIMOS is captured in the budget, 150 million Ghana cedis as allocation to NIMOS.
Yeah.
We've spoken to some persons on the show, and they say that it is too little for our fight against illegal mining, which is really killing us as a people. Just yesterday, one NIMOS officer died.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Yeah.
And 2 days ago on this network, political scientist at KNUST, at Kumasi Technical University, Dr. Samuel Efi, said that he would expect that government would give the NIMOS officers a lot of money so that they are not enthused or they are not bought by the people.
In fact, even the president before the budget mentioned that there's a need to make a lot more resources available.
And so is 150 enough? Is it enough resources?
You're asking the wrong person.
Well, you are also
it is not enough. It is not enough because they have played politics with the revenue measures. In law, we say nemo dat non quod habet. You cannot give what you don't have. If you are of the view, and I share that view, that we need to invest more in the anti-galamsey fight, that means that you have to mobilize more resources to be able to do that. And if you play politics with the revenue measures, you will not get the so you cut your nose and you spite your face. That's what's going on. Listen, the development gap in this country is so wide. There are many communities in this country that there is no presence of government. Police doesn't exist there because the next police station is so many miles away. Health services are not there. Telephone networks are not there. You will not find the presence of government or development there. We have a huge gap. I have communities in my constituency that I'm still today working on getting telephone network together, even after all the network mass that we've tried to mobilize into the areas. There are communities today that don't have potable drinking water. To be able to deliver all of those things, Abner, you need to improve the resource envelope. If you don't improve the resource envelope, you can say all you want to say to the people and tell them how much you love them and how much you want to give them, what you will not be able to do it. And that is why I keep coming back to the basics. How are we taking the revenue conversation seriously enough so that we can deliver on what our people want? And if we, the political class, keep playing yo-yo or ping pong with the revenue conversation, it's one of the most important conversations we have in this country. If we keep playing ping pong with it, our development will always be constrained.
That's also very worrying. In going into 2026, we want a better Ghana for ourselves as a people.
True.
We all want to enjoy Ghana. We want jobs. It's because of jobs that so many young people
and the 6 ladies perished.
They perished. And this dawn, when I was coming to work, they were already queuing at LWAC because they've resumed the selection, the recruitment process. And so jobs, Ghanaians need jobs. We want to create 800,000 jobs, but one of the things that we hear is that it is not possible, especially from a party that campaign with "it is possible." Why are you saying that it's not possible?
So,
I mean, Ghanaians will be happy with 800,000 jobs.
So, we all concede that we need to get our economy to a point where the economy creates or churns out a lot more jobs, or at least an equal number of jobs, to the number of young people who are coming into the job market. The NDC, in my view, in all humility, has gotten the job creation paradigm wrong. And it is because of the political philosophy to which they belong. They are on the left. They believe that it is the business of government to create jobs. We are on the right. We believe that the business of government is to create an enabling or stimulating environment so that jobs can be created. They are two very distinct views. So you'll find out that the NDC says their strategy for job creation, if you look at paragraph 500, and yesterday I was quoting the paragraphs to them, paragraph 501 coming of the budget speech, not the official budget document, the speech. The minister first announces that they are going to create 800,000 jobs. First of all, I tell you that it's not the job of government to create jobs. It's the job of government to create an enabling environment for jobs to be created. That is where they start making the mistake. Then if you go to paragraph 501, he says that almost 500,000 of those jobs are literally going to be labor at road construction sites. It is in the budget.
But that is not sustainable enough.
And these roads are like for 3 years or something.
Okay.
And so this is why we say to them that if you announce to young people that Abani be created Juma, you've sold a false hope to them. Then secondly, when we go into the budget, how is Abani creating a Juma? You say 500,000 of them are going to be labor at road construction sites.
But although it's not sustainable, in that 3 years,
yes,
let's say the roads are going to be constructed in 3 years, someone would have been able to save some good money to be able to do something for themselves after.
If that is your view, I won't argue with you. I'm not saying you. If that is a government view, I won't argue with them. I was in Cape Coast University on Monday morning. There were hundreds of young students getting degrees, diplomas, etc. The other day, I drove by Unimac. I saw all these students coming out of their NAFTI campus. I think they were doing various other courses. I was at Ashesi University last 2 weeks. I met their law and governance class, lots of students studying, cracking their brains, everything. What you are telling me is that in your job creation paradigm, all of these young people are not factored. And that is a very different paradigm from saying that I'm going to create an enabling environment so that jobs can be created. And I'll come to that. The second part of their job creation strategy is what they call the 24-hour economy. 1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people. They sold it very well. You remember their campaign launch? They had a clock there, and they were pointing 1 job, 3 shops, three shifts, 3 people. And they made young people in this country believe that the way to get a job was that the government jobs, first of all, which is very easy for them to do, will run 3 shifts. And that they would then also encourage private sector to run 3 shifts. At the time, we kept drawing the attention of Ghanaian youth that this, and this is where I agree with you, this is not possible. At the time, again, like I say, because people were very angry with us, nobody was even listening to the arguments we were making. Now today they came to power. Yesterday I was giving them some data. If you look at the data from the National Development Planning Commission, the 1D1F created 150 factories, or had 150 factories functioning in at the end of the 8 years, under 1D1F. This government said that strategy was bogus. It wasn't good enough. This was our strategy. We said that create an environment where private sector can create jobs. Those jobs are sustainable. They will cut across. The private sector will pay them. We don't have to come and tax people or borrow to go and pay them. So we said 1D1F. So we created a framework where we give industrial persons incentives. Then they create their own businesses. So we are giving you tax waivers. We are giving you permission to get concessional loans at the banks, and a few other incentives. 150 factories that were functioning under it at the end of 2024. That's 18 factories a year. The NDC said it's not good enough.
How many people did that employ?
From the data that I saw, it was almost 200,000 people. From the NDPC data. This is not my data, NDPC data. Okay. The NDC said that's not good enough. So, kick us out, bring them in. We were kicked out, and they were brought in. One of the first things they did was that they announced that they've cancelled the 1D1F program. So anybody who was expecting to get the new incentives to open 18 more factories this year, you won't get it. So everybody is now expecting that the 24-hour economy, which is the alternative, 1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people, will be rolled out. And it will be better than 18 factories and the number of jobs. That's how you are actually going to create jobs. We are in November.
Maybe you should give time some time.
Don't worry.
Some time and
Don't worry. Then in early November, when we had a conversation with them that let's give time some time. But what is the strategy? What are the resources? The majority leader, the Honorable Ayaga, my good friend, told us that if you're expecting us to bring a document and to bring money for a 24-hour economy, it's not going to happen. He told us, open, and the records are there on television during the press conference with the minority leader at the beginning of this session. All of a sudden, 3 days ago or 4 days ago in Parliament, Finance Minister says that he's made available 100 million Ghana cedis for 24-hour economy. So that 100 million Ghana cedis, Abna, you let me ask you, you've been interacting with a lot of people. Is it to pay the salaries of workers? Or is to provide free electricity for factories? Or is to provide incentive? What is it for? Nobody knows. When you ask them to bring the document and let's go through, they won't bring it. So we want jobs. But the strategy that the government says it is deploying to deliver the jobs, that strategy, I say with the greatest of respect, is not fit for purpose.
Well, but maybe it's government who has sat down with all of their technical advisors, some very venerable professors and doctors. They have looked at the matter and they think that this is how they're going to go about it. Let's get into 2026 and see what they can do.
We'll be happy to.
Well, now this brings me to the health sector. Government is talking about doing a lot of things within the health sector. Says that it will complete some 11, some 10 Agenda 111 hospitals. It's going to build 6 regional hospitals for the 6 regions that, the 6 new regions that were created and do not have hospitals.
Yeah.
But you look at the monies, juxtaposing it to nursing trainee allowances, the allocation for it, and for some, it raises a concern about whether government's heart is in the right place. Because how about we translate the monies for the nursing trainees into building more hospitals to absorb the many nurses at home? And so when somebody raises a concern like that, are they right in raising concerns about this situation?
They are right in raising concerns, but I think the way these concerns are being structured, if this is how they are raising them, misses some of the key points. First of all, let us remind ourselves that the 6 regional hospitals are part of the Agenda 111. Agenda 111 was 88 districts, regional hospitals, and specialist hospitals, like the mental hospitals in the middle and the northern belts. So the 6 regional hospitals is not a new thing. We had a government that was A, paying allowances, and B, because we had structured money coming through GIF Health. GIF Health is the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund health subsidiary. So it's a fund that raises money for infrastructure projects that can pay for itself. So we had a government that was using GIF Health to build 111 of these facilities across the country. Because when COVID came, we realized that we didn't have enough medical facilities across the country to take care of people. My district, Achimansan district, of Fonserebi constituency, for example, we don't have a district hospital.
But wasn't that too ambitious?
I'll come to that. It is, when I came to power, that we upgraded Brenase Health Center into a polyclinic, built a medical theater, and for the first time since independence, I brought 3 medical doctors into the district who are there today and working. And today we've put students on scholarship to go to medical school and come back and work. In fact, just yesterday, we granted 1 new scholarship for a new medical student. So we have a gap. And to close that gap, the government has to be ambitious. And so the government thought hard, sat with its experts and said, we can build 111. We will use money from this fund called GIF Health to build it. And everybody in this country realizes that work was going on. I was information minister when it started. We used to go around with cameramen and other things showing the work. We were showing working. That was going on. And we're paying those contractors the work was going on. The NDC came to power and said that, 1, they have stopped Agenda 111.
Before even the NDC, may I know why? And I think my viewers would love to know why the NPP could not complete it. Because when the president spoke about Agenda 111, it was within a year. Agenda 111 hospitals.
I think it was 18 months.
18 months. That's about a year and 6 months.
Yes.
It was very ambitious.
Yes.
Everybody was looking forward to it. But at the end of 3 years,
I don't think it was 3 years. I think it was 2 years and a little over instead of the 18 months that had been promised. But at the time that we were leaving power, there were hospital facilities that were even around 90% complete. There were some that had actually been completed. Equipment had been brought in. I think about 1 or 2 of them were even commissioned.
But I
agree that not all of them had been finished. But nobody can deny the amount of work that was ongoing. Then the NDC government said that they have stopped it. And in its place, let's not forget, they said we were going to build, first of all, if you recall, they said we were going to build 600 CHIPS compounds. You recall? So I think the first question we should be asking is, okay, let's say we were overambitious. They were more realistic. Where are the 600 CHIPS compounds? You even show workings.
Well, that's why Ghanaians begin to become frustrated, because even
Ghanaians should not be frustrated. NPP was building 111 hospitals, you could see it. I toured these hospitals with pressmen literally every month. We'll go. We went all the way to Dambai. We'll go. You'll see the hospitals coming up in each of these 88 districts. The NDC came and said they have stopped it. We were overambitious. They will build 600 CHIPS compounds. I'm saying to you that the first work that we need to check is the status of the 600 CHIPS compounds. Where are they? Can they show working for them? Put that one aside. They haven't responded to that. Now they jump to a new promise that this year they will complete 10 of the Agenda 111. I'm telling you that there were several of them that were even about 90% complete when we were leaving power. And that if they had, instead of shifting goalposts to say that they were going to do 600 CHIPS compounds, if they had focused that let's say they will even finish that 10 in 2025, there will be at least 10 of those districts where people who have died between January and now because they couldn't get good medical care, their lives would have been saved.
Let me ask you this before we even go
At this rate, the NDC is telling us that, and here's something I want Ghanaians to pay attention to. The NDC is telling us that it's going to take 10 years to finish the Agenda 111 program. This is a program that the NPP was on the course of completing, let's say, even within 3 years. Contrary to the 18 months. The time, and if you saw those projects within about 3 years from the time of conception, they were almost done with it. The NDC is now telling us that it will take them 10 years. This is what it means.
But then if you're supposed to achieve...
If you are in one of those districts, it will take you 10 years to get a district hospital.
But I come back to the NPP. If you promised to do this in 18 months, if you saw that there were going to be issues in completing 111 in 18 months, why didn't you just scale it down to maybe 20?
The issues were not with funding. The issues were with the construction and its management going on. Again, I remind you that I was information minister at the time. We used to go around. You will get to a particular place, we'll go for the inspection. You find out from the contractor, you're supposed to be at 60% by now. Why are you at, let's say, 40% by now? I remember one in which the contractor was telling us that where we are, we need the ECG guys to move the major electric pylons here to another position about 20 meters or so from here. Until they do that, we can't proceed with
so then that
our
mean,
so well, there were issues, not necessarily with funding, but there were issues with the management of the construction going forward. So that is very different from saying
then what happened with due diligence, all the due diligence that should have been done to make
sure that... No, but that is
not
about due diligence. You can do the due diligence. Then you have collaboration from other agencies that, okay, ECG has to come and move these electricity pylons here, and they haven't come to move theirs. It can cause a delay here. There were places, for example, where the district assembly, because one of the terms was that the district assembly is supposed to provide a land full of all encumbrances and cleared. So you have places where the contractors are already there on site and the district assembly is the one that is delaying. So it was not about funding because we created a structure. It was called the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Health Subsidiary, which was making regular payments. It wasn't even coming through our normal payment structure because GIF, if you recall, is a fund that raises money and it funds self-paying projects. Because these hospitals, when people go, payments will be made. And so GIF will get part of its money back. So it wasn't about money. Even if it delayed from 18 months to 36 months, it wasn't about money. It was about the construction management and its projects. And everybody saw that it was moving on. You then had a government that said that that approach was bad. But 600 chips compounds is better. And I'm saying that no problem. I believe that political parties and the people of Ghana must have a right every 4 years to take a decision and say, okay, we don't want this, we want this one. No problem. So the 600 chips compounds that were supposed to be an alternative to be quicker and faster, you just show working that you have started and maybe it's delayed by a month or two because an ECG pylon. Show. You are not sure. And I tell you that one is going back to my initial conversation about resource mobilization.
Well,
now you are coming back to say that, okay, you are going to go back and try. We've lost 1 year and people have died. And now you are telling us that it's going to take 10 years to finish these Agenda 111 projects. And I'm saying to you that if they continue with their same approach to revenue, that 10 years may even be longer.
So, well, after this break, we'll find out if the NDC, based on what you're saying, just did this out of spite. Or, I mean, the same way you had...
No, I don't think they did it out of spite. I won't even suggest that they did it out of spite. I think that sometimes what our friends in the NDC do is to get populist with even matters of national interest.
We have in our studios today the MP for Fuasia UAB, Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. We're looking at the budget. We'll move away from it very soon. But Honorable Oppong Nkrumah, the NDC came in with a vision to prosper Ghana, a vision to see us get better and move us from what they say the mismanagement of the economy that your government did. So far, we are seeing what they want for us in the 2026 budget, their plans for us and all. As a minority caucus, as a ranking member on economy and development, how are you as a caucus also coming on board to help the NDC succeed in the grand scheme of things?
I think first it's important that we correct some narratives even before we move forward. If the NDC tells you that we had mismanaged the economy, a mismanaged economy does not deliver 5.7% growth. It is true that cost of living went very high between 2022 and 2024. Because remember that from 2017 to 2020, I think even to 2021, things were going pretty well for many Ghanaians, as we mentioned at the beginning of our conversation. From 2021 midpoint coming down to 2024, we had a very difficult time. That is a matter of fact. And I think that we should be truthful. We on the NPP side should be truthful. The NDC should be truthful. Not to say that the economy was mismanaged. Because an economy that is mismanaged doesn't leave you 11 billion Ghana cedis in buffers. An economy that is mismanaged doesn't leave you 5.7% growth. An economy that is mismanaged doesn't leave you 150 factories, 18 a year. We can go on and on. And this is the kind of thing that when they do, then we end up having a debate over things that, for me, frankly, don't put food on the table. Instead of us drawing lessons from the genuine mistakes or the places where we went wrong, and then going forward, trying to apply those lessons so that even they don't make those mistakes, then Ghana will build on it. We create these narratives and then we spend all our time going there. What we are doing as a minority caucus, and like you said earlier, sometimes people find it hard to believe, is to share the genuine lessons of what we learned in government with our friends on the other side. And to draw their attention to things that if they focus on, they won't repeat the same mistakes that we made. Sometimes when you draw their attention, they think that you are undermining them politically. But that is not the case. We want to see a Ghana which works for all of us. And if we did something that went right, you should be able to admit that this thing that you guys did went right, and so we will build on it. If we did something that went wrong, we should also be able to say, this thing we did, it didn't go right. Don't repeat it. And you should also be able to admit it, that, okay, this is true. It's not that you were criminally minded or you were mismanaging. You tried your best, it didn't go well. We have learned from your mistake. Then Ghana goes up. And I'll give you, for example, one thing. One of our problems has always been our currency, our cedi. The reason for which the cedi depreciates is not because one person is, let's say, criminally minded or the other person is evil. No. It's because demand and supply for the cedi doesn't match. There's usually more demand for dollar than there is supply. We don't print dollar in Ghana. So we get dollar when we export things. And then, as per the laws, the foreign exchange earnings have to be repatriated to the banks in Ghana. That's how Ghana earns dollar. So let us say that we export $50 million worth of goods. That $50 million is supposed to come back into the banks in Ghana. So that next week, when we need another $50 million to go and do further imports, we can go for that $50 million and the price will not change because demand and supply will be the same. Often what happens is that when people export $50 million worth of goods, they don't bring the $50 million back. You find them in the nostro accounts of the banks. Somebody has bought a building in London, wherever, so it doesn't come back. So next month, when we need another $50 million, we can't find it. So whatever is left, people will outbid themselves and the price will start going up. That's why our currency depreciates. The first thing the NPP did when we came to power was to work and push and ensure that even the volume of export will be higher than the volume of import. That's what we call the balance of trade. So for the first time in Ghana's history, NPP government, we got balance of trade to be positive in a surplus. So we're exporting more than we're importing. The problem, however, was that not all the export proceeds was coming back. So you still had a gap. Especially by 2022, when we got into trouble, and our debt had reached some levels where we were not getting new flows of forex, we were depleting. And because we were depleting, our currency now started depreciating pretty low. So in 2021, Dr. Baumia, who was vice president at the time, came to cabinet with a proposal that we should approve and ask the Bank of Ghana to start what we call a gold purchase program, where we use cedis, we buy gold, we put the gold at the Bank of Ghana, and that gold is now converted into dollars. And we will now start earning dollars, though we haven't really exported anything. And in fact, if we want, we can now sell a bit of that gold and then get dollars for it. So that was through the PMMC and the Bank of Ghana. At the time we started, gold price was about $1,700 an ounce. We won't get much from it. but at least we're building our gold reserves. So gold reserves moved from 8 tons. By the time we were leaving power, it was 30 tons. From independence to that time, it was 8 tons. By the time we were leaving power, because of this program, it was now 30 tons. This is a good thing.
Okay.
The NDC, if you just indulge me just a few minutes, the NDC came to power, saw the PMMC and said, okay, let's change the name to Gold Board. Let's pass a law around it. Now nobody can even export. It's only Gold Board that can export. At the same time, gold prices have now shot up because of the uncertainties around the world to about $4,000 an ounce. So all of a sudden, we're getting a lot more forex. That forex is supposed to be used in building buffers and months of import cover so that when there's a shock, we don't go back to square one. The NDC has decided that they will pump the dollars onto the market to bring the rates down. Initially, when we said it, they said we were lying. It wasn't true. The president said it was good leadership. The governor said there was no pumping. We kept drawing their attention. IMF saw it, told them stop and put in place a framework. When they stopped it, the thing started depreciating again, which means the real problem hasn't been solved. I'm coming to answer your question. Then when they put in place the framework, October, they injected about 1 billion. November, another 1 billion. That's 2 billion. But by the way, our calculations show that they've done about 8 billion so far. So it's the pumping that is showing us up. What a serious government will do is to say, first of all, the truth is that it's the pumping and that the fundamental problems have not been solved. And the pumping, we are able to get the gold to pump because the NPP guys left the gold purchase program. But we're going to take advantage of this opportunity and now deal with the de-dollarization. You see the people who sell dollars around airports, all those people create artificial demand for dollar. There are so many serious things you have to do. Now, if the government doesn't, so we as a minority will draw your attention that, Charlie, what you are doing, you are pumping. We understand, then it's good. It has come down, everybody's happy. But don't be too happy. Don't be dancing in the chamber. Take advantage of this and let's fix the real problems. When we say this, it's coming from a good place. I tell you no lie.
Okay.
If they will pay attention to it and do it, we will all be better off. But you see, how they see it is that, oh, you people have lost power, keep quiet, you are jealous. I'm afraid that we'll do this thing and then we'll come back to square one. And the opportunity that we have as a republic to build on what we are doing, you know, this one has done, let me build on it, we would have lost that opportunity. So all we are saying is, listen, what the political class have to do, we have to do away with a lot of these unnecessary debates and rather give credit where credit is due. You heard me, I don't know if you've heard me, crediting the finance minister that the commitment controls that he's introduced is a good thing. I support it. He has done well on that one. Why can't they credit the NPP when the NPP has done something that they are also going to build on? That's how you build a country. Okay. But if we're going to spend all our time doing, oh, it's not true, you are criminally minded, you mismanage the economy, we'll run around in circles like that. And the people of Ghana, the youth, are the ones who struggle.
When it comes to crediting each other, now I come to your party, the NPP. Your party seems to be a party that is really being beaten by a lot of storms.
True.
At this point. And you've decided to align with one part of it. There are some people who say that come 31st January 2026, give me the mandate, let me lead the party, I will bring you power. You've decided to align with somebody who was sent to the fore of the war or of the battle and could not stand it. Someone else emerged victorious. Why not pitch your camp elsewhere?
First of all, we didn't lose because of Dr. Bawumia. We lost because as a collective, as a party that was in government, we did many things that a lot of people were not happy with. We've just spoken about the economy. The way we responded to the economic crisis, many people were not happy with how it ended. There were several things that we had committed to do. We didn't handle them well. There were ways in which party people behaved that angered a lot of people, and they said they won't vote. Sometimes when we're having elections, I watch your station, we're having primaries. Party person goes to vote. He gets given money by somebody. He comes to stand on TV. This one give me that, this one give me that. It just annoys everybody. And you see people say, that had nothing to do with the candidate. So we lost not because of Bawumia. Bawumia is a very strong candidate. He's the most qualified person to be president of the Republic of Ghana on our side. He's a very deep thinker, lots of good ideas. He has great character, and that is why we support him. So our loss is not because of him. We've done deep research, some of which has been published. It has nothing to do with him.
But there are people in your party who believe that you guys are shielding Dr. Bawumia too much. You're weathering the storm. Dr. Bawumia is at the back, and it looks like he's the golden child.
He's not. Bawumia has come to the table and has admitted where he also thinks that we went wrong and what we need to do. He's even apologized on some of those ones. We have to take collective responsibility. But I'm saying that when it comes to the choice, it's not about Bawumia. Those who are making those, narratives and allegations are people who want to become flag bearer of the party. And what they want to do is to say bad things about him so that people lose faith in him and go. We have seen this thing before. So that is really not the problem. The real problem is that we as a party need to reorganize ourselves. We have to get better at uniting. We have to get better at policy development within the party. Not that one person gets up and he feels this way, so he's announcing it, but there's a more concerted effort in organizing and announcing policy. We have to build better monitoring and evaluating mechanisms for our own programs that we introduce. Those are the hard things we need to do as a party. So it's not about Bawumia. When it comes to the choice, we are of the view that Bawumia is the best choice for us, and that is why many of us are supporting him.
But he's the one who's going to be on the ticket. If he wins, at this point, you are putting you have put your eggs in the Bawumia basket.
As many have also put their eggs in other baskets. It's okay. It's a democracy in which we are. I have a view, other people have views. We'll go for the election on the 31st. Whoever wins, we'll all come together. We should all come together and support him. I am of the view that this is the best person for us. And I'm canvassing votes for him. Others believe that somebody else. They're also canvassing votes. That's not Dixon came here. He believes that Brian Champon is the right person. He's canvassing votes for him. I'm canvassing votes for my candidate. When we finish, we'll get together and then we'll move forward. But the real hard work is in rebuilding the NPP, the structures of the party, the policy depth, monitoring and evaluation mechanisms, how we organize ourselves to be attractive to young people, how we organize ourselves to be attractive to our grassroots. Those are the real hard things we need to do, not religious and ethnic bigotry against Bawumia or something.
I reference Global Info Analytics in some of the polling they've done and their report, and they talk about how, within the party, Dr. Bawumia still has a certain vibe that people still...
The majority of people in the party
they still buy into. Yes. But beyond the NPP, outside of the party, Dr. Bawumia isn't looking formidable. It's also the argument that
I don't think
some
that's
of
what
your
they're
opponents...
Saying. That is a rub-off of how the NPP as a brand is seen in Ghana today. In Ghana today, the NPP is not the most popular political party. Whoever is, leading the NPP today in Ghana, if you cast the bigger Ghanaian picture, because of how the NPP in our last, let's say, 4 years came across, because of how elements in the NPP today are busy attacking each other, the NPP is not the most attractive political force there. So those are the things we have to deal with so that when we pick our candidate, those things that undermine what our brand looks like, those things will be taken off.
Isn't a candidate synonymous to the party? At this point, when you talk about NDC, everybody knows John Dramani Mahama.
But this is the interesting thing. So John Dramani Mahama is not going to be on the ticket for 2025.
Well,
so what the NDC needs to do is to ensure, and not just the NDC, all political parties need to do is to ensure that the party itself is cleaned up, has clarity of its ideas, has clarity of its proposals, distinct even from the persons who are leading it. If parties focus on doing that, it becomes very easy for people to make a choice. In the UK and in other places, people make a choice that I'm a supporter of the Conservative Party, not because of Kemi Badenoch or Rishi Sunak, but because I believe in conservative ideas and their policies that they bring. I am a member of the Labour Party, not necessarily because of Keir Starmer or, Tony Blair, but because I believe in the labor orientation and the policies they bring. And I'm saying to you that is where we are going with our party.
Okay. We've asked questions on ABC in the morning where I've spoken to some of your party communicators and leaders, and there's a concern that the NPP as a party has a system candidate. That system candidate is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
So which one is the system today?
The NPP system, your system.
What system is that? I thought they meant that when we were in power, the system of power was supporting a particular candidate.
No, at this point...
We're not in power. They used to make that argument that, people were whipped in line. Nobody can whip me in line to support it. If I don't support you, nobody can whip me in line to support you.
So let's say...
All of us, with the greatest of respect, have brains. We've looked at the candidate, and people have made their choices. If the majority of the candidates are not supporting, or if the majority of people are not supporting your candidate, please don't come and tell us that it's because this one is a system candidate.
So Nkrumah, you believe that you've pitched your tent at the right place?
I know I have pitched my tent at the right place. I am clear in my mind, as I have compared all the candidates. I know them, I've worked with them. I know all of them. They are all party people. They all mean well for the party. I have looked at them, I've worked with them, and I'm clear in my mind that the one who is our best bet to lead this party is Dr. Mahmoud
If
Bawumia.
the best bet isn't chosen,
the bigger task even after the 31st of January, you know, the thing doesn't end with who is selected as candidate. That's a list issue. The real work the NPP has to do is in rebuilding the party. Go to the campuses and ask, we did a poll quite recently, ask how many students here are TESCON members. You will be shocked at the numbers. The real job of the NPP is how to rebuild the party to be attractive, for example, on the campuses. The party to be attractive in the places that matter. The party to win the hearts and minds of people, for people to believe that this party clearly thinks through its policies and programs. When they have an opportunity, they apply it in a way that even when they are matters, they're able to deal with it. Kemi Bednock was just saying, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that when they lost power, it's taken them about a year to prepare their new policies. 1 year to go back into the drawing board, figure out where they want. That is a party. This is the real work we have to do. It's not about Bawumia and Kennedy and Brian and those.
I mean, you want
that one. The choice is simple. Everybody will make his choice. On 31st, we'll decide. One of them will win. I'm clear in my mind that the person supported by the majority is Dr. Bawumia. But I'm saying to you, Abuna, with the greatest of respect, that the real task we have is beyond the 31st. How to rebuild our party to make it a strong, attractive, formidable, attractive party to various key stakeholder groups so that the party can win power.
Finally, on Dr. Bawumia,
and govern to the satisfaction of people.
Finally, on your primaries, I know you are very active on social media. You see the jabs, you see the bullets that you're shooting at each other in this race. Do you think your party will be able to come together?
We should tone down on that. I mean, I've been on record over and over again that all of those people getting on social media and on campaign platforms and attacking each other is totally unhelpful to the party. You can campaign by talking about the strengths of your candidate and what he can do, but any campaign that seeks to undermine any other candidate or attack any other candidate ends up undermining the collective party brand, and it is not helpful in any way to the party cause. And so let me take advantage of your platform to admonish our party supporters, supporters of various candidates and the candidates themselves to conduct their campaigns decently, focus on the kind of reforms and things that you can do, and stop the unnecessary attacks, because it hurts the party more than it benefits you in the long run. And we need to conduct ourselves in a way that by the time we are done, it's easy for us to work together.
Honorable Oppong Nkrumah, this is your third term in Parliament. Already your name has been in conversations about one day leading the NPP. Do you want to lead the NPP one day?
I do my work based on a task I'm given at a point in time, and I do my best at it. When I finished school, I had never thought about being a journalist like you're doing now. I was given a job at Joy FM to be host of Joy FM's breakfast show. I gave it my best shot. I did it to the best of my ability till I got to a point where I thought I needed to move on to pursue my personal interests, which was law and business. While I was doing it, I was invited to come and serve as a member of parliament. I struggled with the decision. I took the decision, made myself available. This is my third term. I've been doing my best both in my constituency and in parliament. There have been times when I've been asked to come and serve as vice chairman of the party's manifesto committee. I'll do my best at it. I've now been asked to serve as ranking member of the Committee on Economy. That's why you invited me here. I'll do my best at it. So I'm not one who walks around with ambition that I want to lead this, I want to do that. No. I take a job I'm given. I do my best at it. So no, I don't walk around with that ambition.
Well, let me take you back to when you were called by your own constituency to lead the constituency. You talk, and I've heard you talk about it a number of times, how it was a burden on you. You had to think about it. In any case, your people call on you, say in 8 years' time, in 12 years' time, they come to you, Kojo, we want you to lead the NPP. I mean, what will be the decision? I'm sure by now
you're asking me to be a clairvoyant. Don't get moved by the praises of men and by the fans of people. You need to do a good job asking yourself whether you have the appetite, whether it is God's calling for your life. When I was on radio, if you ask me that, can you forecast whether you will say yes if you are asked to become an MP, I would not be able to do that. In the same way, I cannot forecast what my response to anything will be in the future is. Today I have a job. I do it to the best of my ability. What God wills for man is what will happen at the end of the day.
So you don't have a midterm a midterm plan? You don't have a long-term plan?
My core plan in my life has always been to do my law and my business, which is what I've been doing. There are things that people call you up to do at points in time. You ask yourself questions, you go deep, you commune with the spirit, you get advice, and if it is something that you are sensed to believe you can do, or then take it up. As I sit here, I can't make any such predictions.
Honorable Oppong, I wish you the very best in your endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, MP for the good people of Ofuansi and ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee in Parliament. He sat with us today for a one-on-one